So a very good afternoon to you all. And on behalf of the Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry, the Indian Dental Association Chandigarh State Branch, the International College of Dentists, and Strategic Institute of Public Health Education and Research, Chandigarh, I extend a very warm welcome to you all to this webinar session on tobacco control, challenges and opportunities for dental professionals during COVID-19. While this is an ongoing webinar series and we are talking about various aspects of dentistry during COVID-19, and this is the 6th webinar in a row. With this introduction, I would like to call upon Dr. R.P. Gupta, who is the President of Indian Dental Association Chandigarh State Branch, as well as the International College of Dentists Section 6, comprising India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, for a welcome address. Dr. R.P. Gupta.
Thank you, Dr. Arpit. Good afternoon and welcome everyone wherever you are in this webinar. Tobacco control, challenges and opportunities for dental professionals during COVID-19. Madam Shri Dr. R.K. Bali, Chairman of today's webinar, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, Moderator, Dr. Sonu Goyal, Speaker of today's presentation, ladies and gentlemen. It is our pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to Padam Shri Dr. R.K. Bali. He is currently President Emeritus, Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry. He was the honorary dental surgeon to the President of India for the past 20 years and has been holding the post of President of Dental Council of India for 12.5 years. Dr. Bali has a great leadership quality, always smiling, versatile personality, having artistic hand in dentistry. He is a Dr. B.C. Roy National Awardee. Sir, it is our good luck you acceded to our request to chair today's session on tobacco control. We are honored and thankful to you, sir. We extend a warm welcome to Dr. Rakesh Gupta, presently the President, Director of the Institute of the Public Health Education and Research. Shortly it is called as a SIFIRE, Chandigarh, and ex-Director of Health Services, Punjab. We convey our gratitude for accepting the invitation as a moderator of this presentation. Thank you so much. We are all delighted to welcome Professor Sonu Goyal. He is working as a professor in the Department of Community and School of the Public Health, Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education, Chandigarh. Currently, he is a Vice Chairman of Tobacco Control Section. He is today's speaker of this webinar. Goyal is the most sought after speaker. Sir, we are grateful to you for joining us. It was a privilege to welcome Dr. Pushpanjali, President, Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry. She is Professor and Head Chairperson, HPU Unit, Faculty of Dental Sciences, MS Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences, Bangalore. Thank you, Madam. We are feeling elated to welcome Dr. Vamsi Krishna Reddy, Honorary General Secretary, Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry. Dr. Vamsi is a Professor and Head Sardar Patel Postgraduate Institute of Dental and Medical Sciences, Lucknow. Thank you very much, sir. We also extend a warm welcome to our viewers who are from Pan India and other countries. We are obliged to each and everyone for participating in this webinar. We from the IDA and ICD should go for training on tobacco cessation and tobacco control activities by regular capacity building program. Such trained dentists should be certified to run a tobacco cessation center in their dental practice. In the end, we would like to convey our heartfelt thanks to each and everyone for making this program a success. Jai Hind to all of you.
Well, many thanks to Dr. R.P. Gupta for his words of encouragement and appreciation. And with this, I would like to welcome Dr. Rajiv Chugh, who is the General Secretary for International College of Dentists Section 6. Dr. Rajiv Chugh, sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Arpit Gupta. President Dr. Rajinder Gupta, President of ICD Section 6, and also the President of IDA Chandigarh State Branch. Respected Dr. R.K. Bali, sir, thank you for your consent to chair the event today. Dear Dr. Rakesh Gupta, the moderator, the speaker, Professor Sonu Goyal of the program today, dear Master Fellows, Fellows of ICD, members of IDA all over the country who are attending the program, President of Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry, Dr. Pushpanjali, Secretary Dr. Vamsi Reddy, Vice President Dr. Arun Dodamani, other members of the IAPHP, all the participants of today's program, we welcome you all to this webinar. It is my honor and proud privilege to introduce to you the past President of Dental Council of India, Master Fellow, past President of ICD Section 6, Founder President and President Emeritus of Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry, Padam Shri Awardee, Dr. R.K. Bali. Though he is a very well-known personality, and all of you know about him, but there are so many things probably which have not crossed your mind, and I would like to share some of his accolades which he has won over the years with all of you, because that will encourage you to go ahead in the dental profession. Dr. Bali is one of the senior most dental surgeons in the country today. He is a role model to all the dental professionals in the country. He has mentored so many dentists in the country in the last 60 years of his association with the profession that we all look up to him as a fatherly figure. Personally, if I have any issues related to dental profession, after seeking any guidance from my father, I would go to Dr. Bali, and I'm sure he always guides me. So same is true with other dental professionals in the country. He has achieved so many positions, honors and awards, which will be difficult to enumerate in a short introduction. Nonetheless, I'll read out a few of them. He was awarded Padam Shri by the President of India in 1991. He is also been awarded by Dr. B.C. Roy National Award by the President of India. He has been awarded Dr. K.L. Big Oration Award by the National Academy of Medical Sciences. He was conferred with the degree of Doctor of Science by Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj Medical University, which is today called as King George's Medical University, Lucknow. He is also active in Rotary and has been awarded the Outstanding Rotarian of the Year Award in 2001 by the Rotary Club of Delhi Midtown. He has been awarded by the Millennium 2000 Rajdhani Ratan Award, and he was awarded the Sushruta Award by IDA Head Office for his outstanding contribution to the dental profession in the country. Besides that, he has won a lot of international awards too. To name a few of them, he was chosen as one of the 57 best Rotarians and a single dental surgeon throughout the world for the highest award of Rotary International Service Above Self Award in 1992, in recognition of outstanding and distinguished selfless service to the community. He was also awarded Masters of International College of Dentists. He has also won the Appreciation of Service Award by the Asia Pacific Dental Federation. He was awarded membership overseas of the Faculty of General Dental Practitioners, Royal College of Surgeons, UK. He was chosen for prestigious Diplomat Award by the International Congress of Oral Implantologists, New Orleans, USA. His contribution to the dental profession for 12.5 years as President of Dental Council of India has been exemplary, outstanding, and praiseworthy, and has brought the dental profession to its present status. He was instrumental in starting the Diplomat of National Board. Dr. Bali is still active in practice and is presently the Honorary Dental Surgeon to the President of India since 1984, and is also the Honorary Dental Surgeon to the Governor of UP. He has been the Dental Advisor to the Armed Forces Medical Services, Dental Advisor, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, Dental Advisor to the Armed Forces in a few years again. He has had many assignments, just to mention a few of them. He has been the national president of IDA. He's been the fellow and the ex-president of Academy of Dentistry International India section. He's also been the fellow of the American College of Dentists USA. He's been the president of the Perry Fawcett Academy USA India section. He's been the ex-chairman of the Dental Specialty Board, National Board of Examinations. Despite his enormous involvement and contribution, he has a very keen interest in academics also, and has a lot of national and international publications and contribution to many books to his credit. He's a great philanthropist and has served the society in many ways in his individual capacity and through his close association with the Rotary Club. In fact, he was instrumental in donating a mobile dental van through his club, and also employ a dentist, full-time dentist, to serve the regions of Delhi where dental treatment facilities were not available. He also started a unique project called Sehat, which is the School Health Action Teachers Training Program, as its chairman. And the target of this Sehat program was 500 primary schools of Mumbai and Delhi Municipal Corporation and 250 schools of Delhi government to provide dental services to the children in these schools. These are a few of the achievements which I could share with you in this short span. But let me tell you, he is a very humble and a very genuine human being. He is always there to help each and everybody, whosoever goes to him, and his affection is not a match to anyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming and chairing this session. We welcome you to this webinar. Thank you.
Well, many thanks to Dr. Rajiv Chugh. And with this, I would like to request Dr. Bali to please address this online gathering and share his words of wisdom.
Lots of thanks to Dr. Chugh for the long introduction, which I don't think so I deserved that much, but since you have done it, so nice of you, and many thanks about it. Dr. R.P. Gupta, President of both the ICD as well as IDA Chandigarh branch. Dr. Pushpanjali, the President of IA PhD. Dr. Rajiv Chugh, the Secretary General of ICD India section. Dr. Arpit Gupta, IA PhD, IDA Chandigarh branch, and Dr. Vasmi Reddy, the Secretary of the IA PhD. All the masters, fellows of ICD and members of IDA Chandigarh branch, and dear friends. This is a great occasion for all of us to be part of the meeting of the way of webinar. The only way to get to be together. We are not 1 meter away, but far off. Still we are meeting. No serving of water, no tea, no lunch, no dinner. All these associations have saved a lot of money, I think. So, not going out of the hall and ease ourselves, or one puff of smoking for those who smoke. That's why those who smoke, wherever, whosoever, medical or dental professionals or any in public, may listen to our learned speakers of today, Dr. Rakesh Gupta and Professor Sonu Sood, who are going to tell us all about the tobacco control challenges and opportunities for dental professionals, and in particular, and not only during the COVID-19, but also in general. ICD, DCI, IDA, Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry, and all related dental organizations are most concerned about the general health and oral health in particular of the population of this country. All of us should devise practical ways to prevent the outcome of these oral usage of tobacco in any form, so that it may not take the shape of endemic or pandemic as it is COVID-19. For the information of all the organizations, we have instituted one award in the ICD, that is the Public Health Dentistry Award, and for the good articles they write and send it to the Secretary General ICD, and the winner is going to get a very good award by the ICD. Therefore, I request all of you to do some research and send some original articles. That will be very nice for all of us. I would not take much time because our speakers are waiting for the, they want to listen to them. Therefore, I would request this, go ahead for the speakers to speak and tell us all about our subjects. Thank you very much, and all of you, good health, wish you good health. Thank you.
Many thanks to you, Dr. Bali sir, for sharing your words of wisdom. You have always been the torchbearer for not only the IA PhD, but also the ICD, the Dental Council of India, and many more organizations. Many thanks to you, sir. And now is the time to welcome Dr. Pushpanjali Madam, who is the President of Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry. Dr. Pushpanjali, ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, Dr. Arpit.
Ma'am, I request you to please introduce the moderator for the day.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Arpit. Very good afternoon to all the dignitaries attending today. Dr. Bali sir, that was a very nice opening remark. That was a very nice welcome note by Dr. Gupta and Dr. Chugh, and welcome to Dr. Sonu. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our moderator, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, President and Director, Strategic Institute for Public Health Education and Research, Chandigarh. Sir was formerly Director, Health Services, Punjab, formerly Director of Chemical Examiner Lab, Department of Home Affairs and Justice, Government of Punjab, Chandigarh. He graduated from Government Medical College, Patiala, Punjab in 1992 with an MBBS degree. He got his master's in ophthalmology in 1989 from Government Medical College, Patiala, Punjab. And he has got more than 35 years of professional experience, more than 7 years of expertise in managing national non-communicable diseases programs, especially blindness control, tobacco control programs since 2010 to 2017. He's also alumni of Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, Baltimore, 2012, and University of California, San Francisco, 2012, as a short-term scholar. He has been given many awards. To name, WHO Award 2015 on World No Tobacco Day, represented Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for a consortium in Panama, 2016, represented Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for a consultation in Geneva, 2017. He also attended Corneal Blindness Backlog-Free and Tobacco-Free Villages initiatives at Indore in 2018. He was also awarded for exemplary services in medical profession by SBI in 2019. Sir has attended many national and international conferences. He also has publications in reputed journals for his work on blindness, public health work on smoking, and also on diabetes and hypertension. He has organized many consultative meetings in collaboration with the SOPH PGI Chandigarh. To name a few, consultation on health effects of electronic nicotine delivery system is one. e-cigarettes with subject experts, decision makers, and implementers in School of Public Health, PGI Chandigarh. The other one to protecting minors from tobacco and nicotine, going beyond cigarette and others. Reinvigorating banking, consultation on hospital cornea retrieval. There are many more. And if I have to go ahead, I think I'll take minimum of another 1 hour to 40 minutes to complete the CV that I have received about Dr. Rakesh. He's also participated as a resource person for many academic meets. With this, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, sir, thank you very much for accepting to be our moderator for this very nice topic on responsibilities or opportunities in tobacco control for dental professionals. With this, I welcome Dr. Rakesh Gupta once again. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pushpanjali, for the elaborate introduction. Let me give you a brief about the subject. So the proactive role to be played by dental professionals, it is an opportunity and a necessity during the COVID period and even beyond that. As dental specialists, they are the first points of contact for the patients with poor orodental hygiene and oral liens. Users of tobacco and tobacco nicotine in any form, including hookahs, pan masala, chewable tobacco, and electronic cigarettes, they are more vulnerable to COVID-19 as these products, they seriously affect the lung health. As per the largest Chinese study, Dr. Sonu will be telling you in detail about these studies, but I may tell you that all these tobacco and tobacco products and the nicotine they affect lung health. And in the Chinese study, 16.9% of the seriously ill patients were current smokers. And among those reaching endpoint, that is defined as the needing mechanical ventilation or admission to an ICU or death, 25% were current smokers and 7.6% were former smokers. So that is quite a lot. E-cigarettes, they are considered, at one time they were considered as safe alternative. So let me tell you, e-cigarette is also very dangerous as far as the COVID is concerned or any kind of lung infection is concerned. We lost more than 100 people in America due to the e-cigarettes use or vaping product use associated lung injury, which is called as EVALI. So any kind of smoking or vaping would increase chances of COVID-19 infection and progression of this deadly disease. Central and various state governments, they are making efforts to curb the use of SLT. You might be knowing that more than 22 states in India, they have issued notifications banning spitting in public, a punishable offense under the strict Disaster Management Act. And ICMR has also issued an advisory against consumption and spitting of smokeless tobacco in public. So numerous advisories, guidelines on the serious risk factors associated with the use of tobacco and vaping or the use of electronic cigarettes, they have been issued by WHO and various other key institutes of different countries. So we need to strictly prohibit the use of tobacco smoking, hookahs, pan masala, gutka, and e-cigarettes to decrease the transmission of corona and other infections. This further need to strengthen the involvement of dental and oral health professionals in a very meaningful way. Ministry of Health Family Welfare, they have initiated the process and issued guidelines for establishing tobacco cessation centers in some of the dental colleges. It is my proud privilege now to introduce Professor Dr. Sonu Goyal, who is the speaker in the webinar. He is one of the youngest and the most sought after tobacco control stalwart in the region, and he is known internationally. He has got 18 years of rich experience in public health and health management. And he has written more than 100 papers, authored 35 chapters. He has produced 12 films on national health programs and edited many public health books. He is an alumni of Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, Baltimore, US, and a university from Netherlands also. He has been awarded Public Health Excellence of India by Honorable Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare in 2014. He is project director for the International Public Health Management Development, sponsored by the Ministry of External Affairs. Currently, he is the vice chair of Tobacco Control Section and also leading Manpower Research Group of International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Diseases. He's also managing a resource center of tobacco control in PGI, School of Public Health PGI, and he's the director of that RCTC. So over to Dr. Sonu Goyal for his presentation.
So thank you very much, Dr. Rakesh, for such an elaborate introduction, and really good afternoon, everyone. It's my proud privilege to be a part of such august audience, which is being chaired by Dr. R.K. Bali, an eminent person, stalwart in the dentistry. So Dr. Rajiv Kumar Chok, Dr. Rajendra Gupta, Dr. Pushpanjali, Dr. Arpit, and many more in this august audience, and Dr. Rakesh Gupta, President of Cypher. So all the attendees of the program who have extracted their time on this weekend to attend this webinar. So I am really thankful to them too for being part of it. And I truly hope that in this next 30 minutes or so, when I will be deliberating on this important topic on the opportunities of dentists, especially public health dentists, but as a dentist as a whole, that what can be done in tobacco control in these COVID time. And as Dr. Bali has said, not only in these COVID time, but away from these COVID times also. And I must admit here that dentists play a very important role in tobacco control. And as Dr. Rakesh has said, they are the first point of contact for many tobacco users. And I know many of dentists. My wife is also a dentist, and now she has been converted into public health. She has gone into public health, but she is primarily a dentist. And many of you have been doing exemplary work in tobacco control initiative in the country. And I must really appreciate your efforts in tobacco control. So before I go with the presentation, I have 5 small MCQs. It's not MCQs, these are small question answer session. And they will be rated based on the maximum correct answer on first come first basis. And we will be having few winners, the top winners of them. So I'll be asking, it's not in the presentation, but I'll be asking here. So just listen carefully, and maybe in just one go, everybody can write their responses in one go and then send. Don't send it separately. Question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll be going slowly.
Girls, boys, 2 girls. Wow.
Okay. So the first question is, when was Cigarette and Other Tobacco Product Act enacted? When was Cigarette and Other Tobacco Product Act enacted? Just keep on writing it and send it in one go. Second question is, what is the prevalence of tobacco use, smoking and smokeless, according to Global Adult Tobacco Survey 2016? What is the prevalence of tobacco use, smoking and smokeless? What you can do is you can just write about prevalence of tobacco use. Don't write about smoking and smokeless separately. What is the overall prevalence of tobacco use according to GATS-2? Then third, very important from your perspective, from the dental health perspective, according to GATS, how many are thinking, how many tobacco users are thinking to quit smoking? Because these are the potential audience for you, those who you can counsel. So how many of smokers and smokeless tobacco users, you can write separately, are thinking of quitting? Fourth is, how many smoker and smokeless tobacco users were advised by healthcare professionals to quit? Again, as per GATS survey, how many smokers and smokeless tobacco users were advised by healthcare providers to quit? So how your role, no? How many people were advised by healthcare providers? And my final question is, enlist any 3 global level surveys for tobacco use. Any 3 global level surveys for tobacco use. So again, in the meantime, you are writing, I am just repeating the questions again. When was COTPA enacted? Question 1. Question 2, prevalence of tobacco use as per GATS. Just write percentage. Question 3, how many tobacco users are thinking to quit? 4th, how many smokers and SLT users were advised by healthcare provider to quit? And 5th, any 3 global level surveys. So you can post that on our chat section. Maybe I'll wait for another couple of minutes before I start my presentation. I think suddenly the chat number has increased to 93. So it's a good sign. Okay, so I think I will start my presentation. Maybe you can just stop now and we'll just focus on the presentation. Some of the answers are there in this presentation, not all, but these were just basic question. I just want to re-energize you with the some of the things. Okay, so my topic is what are the tobacco control challenges and opportunities for dental professional in these COVID times. So as most of you know that tobacco use kill more than 8 million people annually in this globe. So that means out of every 10 deaths which are happening in the country, so 1 death is being caused by tobacco use. So it's a huge number, 8 million people. And out of this, 7 million deaths are due to direct tobacco use, those who are smoking. But you can see that 1.2 million deaths are the result of non-smoker being exposed to secondhand smoke. Tobacco use kills almost 8 million people, out of which 7 million deaths are due to direct tobacco use, and 1.2 million are those innocent people who are just exposed to that smoking. So they are secondhand smokers, I can say. They're not smoking, but they're being exposed to that tobacco use. And the prevalence of tobacco use in India, it was initially when the GATS 1 was conducted in 2010, it was 34.6%, prevalence was 34.6%, which was reduced to 28.6%. So the correct answer for Global Health Tobacco Survey, the prevalence of tobacco use, it is 28.6%. That means the aged 15 years and above, 28.6% people use tobacco in either of the form. And among them, 10% are smoker and 21% are smokeless tobacco users. So you can see in India, we have that problem of smokeless tobacco use as compared to smoking. So I think this is a graph, maybe when the slides will be there, I would like to show this graph, which shows the prevalence of tobacco use in entire country state-wise, which says that, is it come? Arpit?
Yes, sir, slides are there. If somebody else can confirm, I think slides are there.
It's visible.
We can see, yeah, we can see the presentation. Yeah.
Okay, great. So the prevalence of tobacco use, it is lowest in smoking tobacco use, lowest in Maharashtra and highest in Mizoram. So in Mizoram, the prevalence of smoked tobacco use, smoking, is 34%. And in Maharashtra, it is 3%. And if we say Punjab, it is 7% of prevalence of tobacco use. And it is smoking. So overall India, the prevalence of smoking is 10%, around 10.7%. If we take smokeless tobacco, in Himachal, it is very less, 3%, and Tripura and Manipur, it is almost 47 to 48%. So it is a very varied graph which shows the prevalence of tobacco use, smoking and smokeless in different parts of the country. In the next slide, we see the implications of tobacco use, and we can see smoking doesn't spare any organ of the body. I think it starts from hair, brain, skin, eyes, respiratory system, bones. You name any cancer, it is caused by smoking, and even the physical appearance. And as a dentist, you might be aware that when you open the mouth, you can see the smell, the halitosis, which is very visible, and the staining on the teeth, the tooth decay, and all those things which are there. And these are the implications of tobacco use. And even the pregnancy, the reproductive system, no organ, no system is spared by tobacco. Now you can see that the family falls into poverty if any of the person who is smoking or take the smoked tobacco use, because the money spent on tobacco, there is a high opportunity cost, and they can't spend much on education, nutrition. Due to treatment, like those people who are smokers, almost 50% of the people die. You know, out of every 2 smokers, 1 person die. And there is a large treatment cost and loss of work days due to smoking. So again, that is foregone income too. And then we can see that there is an increased vulnerability of tobacco use among the family members also, and they also start smoking. So that cause a major impact on the family. So it doesn't spare anybody. There is a lot of consumer waste, lot of agricultural impacts. You know, if anybody grows tobacco plant in their fields, you can't grow any other crop. That becomes the land becomes infertile, and it takes time to grow the crop. So it doesn't spare. Nobody, no animal eats tobacco, because they don't like that. So tobacco is a major public health problem. And now you can see the oral challenges of tobacco use. And these are some of the things which is not new for you, might not be new for you. I think periodontal diseases, dental caries already talked about. Smokers' melanosis, I think these are the stains which you can see, the black, this thing, maybe it's a pre-carcinogenic lesions. Gingival recession, you can see black hairy tongue, tooth abrasion, and many more. And many oral cancer. Oral cancer, the main cause or the main risk factor is tobacco use. So these are some of the oral challenges of tobacco use. Now, just coming to this COVID-19 situation, I think this is everybody might be aware. And today the cases have reached 5 lakh. So it was the yesterday's presentation. So 4,90,000 cases in India, out of which 15,000 odd deaths we can see. And if we see the cases across world, so we are about to reach 10 million. So 96 lakh people are suffering from this COVID-19, which has become a great pandemic of the century. Now, what is the relationship between COVID-19 and tobacco? So there is a very strong relationship. In this less than 4 months since the COVID has come, there has been an equivocal relationship has been established by various studies. Smoking impairs the immune system in several ways, and smokers have increased gene expression of this ACE2 enzyme as compared to former smokers and non-smokers, which lead to increased infection to any infection, not only COVID, but any infection. But why COVID? Because COVID also affects lungs primarily, and smoking also affects lungs primarily. So there is an increased chance of a person who is a smoker to suffer from COVID, and there is an increased chance of severity of COVID illness, which I'll be deliberating in the next few slides. You can see why COVID, not only COVID initiation, but tobacco is a risk factor for COVID progression. Like those people who are smoking, they take the fingers to the face and then it spreads virus. You know, it spreads by contagions. Then sharing of water pipe. Many people used to share water pipes, and if these people share water pipes, the saliva can be transmitting to the other person and can cause COVID. Now, tobacco uses social activity. Many people sit together and there is no social distancing when people sit together. I already told you about the synergistic effect on the lungs. And this again is a bigger problem, spitting of smokeless tobacco use. So if one person spit, there is an increased chance of COVID-19 spread, because that spit can be carried by aerosol or even by the person wearing boots, shoes, slippers to their home, and then secondhand smoking. So it's a risk factor for COVID-19 progression. Now you can see the epidemiological evidence. Dr. Rakesh Gupta has already told about the largest study from China, where they have recruited almost 1,100 COVID-19 patients. And from there, it has been seen that around 17% were current smokers. And among them, among non-severe patients, only 11%. So this means the patients who are more severely ill COVID-19, they were primarily smokers. So that means the COVID or coronavirus is affecting those people who are primarily smokers. So that data is clearly indicative of the strong association. So this study has been published in New England Journal of Medicine in 2020 March. So again, there is another evidence which says that those people who are reaching endpoint, that is those coronavirus patients who need mechanical ventilation or ICU death, so among them, 25% of them are current smoker, as compared to only 7.6% who are former smokers. And again, you can compare them with only 11% were current smokers who doesn't reach the endpoint. So this means those people who are smokers reach their endpoint quite early as compared to the other people. Another meta-analysis which has been published in another journal, MedRxiv. So it has shown that there is a significant association between smoking and the progression of COVID-19. It is based on the 12 papers published till April 2020. So this was about smoking. And I told you about hookah smoking is no less harmful, even more harmful than cigarette, because people used to sit together, there is no social distancing, and using the same apparatus, which further enhancing the risk of COVID. Dr. Rakesh told about this illness that is EVALI, which is a lung-specific illness which is caused by e-cigarettes, because vaping exposes lung to more toxicants than cigarettes. And again, although it has not been unequivocally proven for COVID-19, but the effect of vaping seems to be synergistic for COVID-19 infection and progression. And this is the recent study which shows by Pino et al. Has shown that people younger than 50 years and exposed to these toxic inhalants of e-cigarettes are more likely to have immunosuppression and increases the risk of infection among the COVID patients. And I also told you about SLT-induced spitting. And when you spit, there is an increased chance of spreading COVID-19. So any form of tobacco, whether it is smoking, smokeless, hookah, spitting, e-cigarettes, so every form of tobacco or nicotine is predisposed person not only to COVID, but also to the progression of the COVID. And these are some of the other studies which has been done in a very short period of time. This is a meta-analysis which shows there is a significant association, 1.91 is the odds ratio. So significant progression and risk factor for COVID-19 progression. This is another tobacco smoking. So again, there is a significant association in the progression. Now, as many of you know that being a public health professionals, we just play a very small role, but a very significant role in tobacco control. There are many people or many sectors who are involved in tobacco control, right from the manufacturer or tobacco industry, which deter our actions, whatever actions which we are doing in tobacco control, they allay our actions. There are government or policy makers. As an individual, we can play a role, and as a health professional, we can also play a role. So in the next few slides, I'll be talking about the role of healthcare professionals, especially dentists. Now, as a dentist, what role you can play? So dental professional, I already told you that they are the major stakeholders in mitigating the risk by communicating their patients about the harm of tobacco use. I'll tell you why, and most of you know this why. Because you have these strengths. You detect the signs of tobacco use quite early, because the person is sitting in front of you, very close to you, with your mouth, with his or her mouth open. So you can easily detect the signs of tobacco use. You have the multiple visits, and the patient has to come multiple times to you. So you have an opportunity to interact multiple times to him or her, and you develop that trust and confidence in them. So these are your strengths. But yes, we have some weakness, which is now converting into an opportunity, that we don't have many trained undergraduate and even postgraduate people who are actually focusing on tobacco cessation. But over a period of time, I have seen that many people are entering into tobacco control cessation. We have a lot of opportunities because the dental needs are increasing day by day, and you can do the counseling, chair side counseling you can do. And now the dental colleges are increasing. We have many umpteen number of undergraduates and postgraduates per year which are graduating. So there is a huge opportunities for tobacco control fraternity in tobacco control, dental fraternity in tobacco control. But we have some threats, like there is a lack of coordination, there is a lack of uniform curriculum for tobacco control. And many people I know in MAIDS and in many other institutions, they have developed the curriculum for tobacco control in their institution, and they are perlocating to other institutions also. Now, tobacco cessation, you can do wonders by just giving few advice. So this is, we normally follow, there are 5A approach, there are 3 approach, there are ABC approach. So we follow the simple approach, that is, you just ask for tobacco use, because you can yourself imagine when they open the mouth, you can immediately ask, and they can't lie with you because the smell is coming directly in front. So you can advise them, and then you can refer that person with brief advice. And I really suggest you to give advice based on you don't give them generic advice. Give them advice based on their profile, their age, their gender, their profession, which advice, the condition in which they are. Like, for example, I always say, when a girl comes to you, if she's a smoker, you don't advise her that your longevity will increase. So you will advise her there is an effect on your skin, that wrinkles will be there. So advise the person which actually affect them. For a pregnant woman, you advise her for the infant or for the children, for the child she is bearing. So advise her according to the condition, according to the gender. So minimal brief advice works. And we have like toll-free quit line. Many of you know this. There's a Government of India quit line number, and there is a M cessation in which you can just call them and once, and then they keep on calling you after a certain frequency intervals. So you can advise them, patients, to follow these quit lines also. And then we have many tobacco cessation centers in the dental colleges, and I must appreciate the role of the association of this Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry, IDA and ICD, for taking a lead role in the establishment of tobacco cessation centers in the dental colleges. Now, you can see few studies. There are umpteen number of studies for dental sciences, and you can see these are the pooled 6 studies and individual randomization, which shows that there is a higher odds in the favor of counseling compared with usual care. So brief counseling compared with usual care gives you more effect on tobacco cessation. And I know that many of you are engaged in this tobacco cessation counseling and have seen the real effect of this tobacco cessation counseling. Now, these are some of the things which you can do in COVID-19, because in COVID-19, as Dr. Bali and Dr. Rajendra Gupta, Dr. Rajiv has said, that we are sitting at our work, most of us are sitting at home, working from home, and not much interaction during this. So you can very well do e-counseling sessions. You have the tobacco users, they don't have to come to you. You can arrange a sort of an e-counseling session for them. And I think that will be wonderful. That saves their time, your time, and that is really fruitful. You can intensify your intervention using the good practices, because when you follow the good practices, you follow that mask and all those precautions which are really required, because you are at high risk, you require all sort of N95 mask and all those things. So you practice that and patient will follow you. You can create the awareness in the society, because again, I say that dental doctors, the healthcare professionals, especially dentists, play a major role, and they can use the dentiform models in showing the teeth, the staining of the teeth, the recession of the gums, and many more conditions. And the other thing which many of you have recently started doing is undertaking research. And there are n number of research which are focused on tobacco smoking cessation during COVID-19 epidemic. And I firmly believe that many of you have started undertaking these research. Now, these are some of the things, like individual counseling can be done, like while following the social distancing norms. We can do telephonic counseling. So these are the behavioral intervention. There are some pharmacotherapeutical interventions, which in terms of nicotine patches, in terms of nicotine gums, nasal spray, bupropion, and many other things which you can initiate. I already told you about the e-counseling. I think all these webinar series, I must commend again the associations I named earlier in conducting these series, important series for all of you. And we can do teleconsultation, which is very useful, and we can follow these Government of India Quit Tobacco and M cessation guidelines. You can follow, you can also raise awareness of the society through your radio talk, utilizing social media, giving clips in the newspapers. I could find, because these are the positive things, and nobody now wants to read what is happening to COVID every day. Every day the deaths are increasing, and every day the cases are increasing. People would like to read what they should do. What are the things which are required? So I strongly urge all of you, wherever you are, give some news clippings, give radio talks about what are the precautions you should take in these COVID times. And you should always disseminate this information material to the general public through various platforms. And I think I already told you about the research. Many of you are busy in practice, but I strongly urge that generate good quality evidence. Unless you generate a good quality evidence, we may not be able to progress much. So I think the dentists again are playing a very major role, but I think we need to see more of the policy focused research, and evidence-based operational research should come in front. So I think this is a summary of what you can do. You can advise them to quit tobacco use tobacco quit interventions, adopt healthy lifestyles, and reduce exposure to secondhand smoke. So these are some things which you can advise. And these are some of the things my PhD students, I have 2 PhD students right now, mentored almost like 30 plus. Most of them are working in tobacco control. And these 2 people, these 2 are working on the same tobacco use. One is working in the behavioral counseling at the community level. One student is working behavioral counseling at the institutional level. So they are also designing their intervention. So these are some of the things which we can advise to our patients, because I consider tobacco use is as a disease. So these are our take-home messages now. So we need to, because in this COVID-19 is here to stay for quite some time now. And we need to make this challenge as an opportunity for tobacco control. So I think government has done wonderfully well in some of the front. They have actually in this time, they have banned the tobacco product being a non-essential commodity. So that was done for quite some time. And this was a laudable approach which was done. They have banned spitting. So banning of spitting has been now been done at the national level. So now tobacco and COVID should move simultaneously, and dentists can play a pivotal role. I have highlighted few of them: generating awareness, doing e-counseling session, writing papers, doing research, and now practicing and playing a role model during practice. Intensified treatment with good practices, effective use of technology for tobacco cessation, creating awareness like from radio, newspaper, social media, and research, very important. Explore more in these COVID-19 times. I end this talk with saying a very beautiful quote, that in the middle of every difficulty lies an opportunity, and we must take use of these opportunities in these challenging times. And I think we all should be able to make use of these opportunities and make tobacco and for this tobacco end generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonu. It was very, very interesting talk. And I think we all will be more learned about the smoking cessation, and particularly during the COVID-19. No doubt, I usually sleep at that time, but certainly I was awake because of your talk was so interesting that if you go on speaking, I would have listened to each and every word of yours and also your advice. Thank you very much, Dr. Sonu. All the best.
Thank you very much, sir, for kind appreciation.
So,
Can I call upon Dr. Rakesh to begin the discussion? Dr. Rakesh, are you there?
yeah. Should I summarize his talk? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So, with the permission of Chair, I would just like to summarize the talk by Dr. Sonu. So he has very well summarized why tobacco control is important. I may like to add that there are in India 13.5 lakh people that die because of the tobacco-related diseases every year, and 3,500 per day. So to compensate for the loss, the tobacco industry that makes sure that 5,500 children, they start using tobacco daily. So this is the reason why tobacco control is important, and the dental professionals, they have to play a very important role as they are the important stakeholders. He was also detecting the magnitude of COVID problems and its correlation with the tobacco nicotine use with epidemiological data, the simple cessation advice which can be provided, and how the patients can be guided for an expert advice. And very valid take-home messages: COVID-19, tobacco control, it has to be an integrated approach, and the dental professionals, they need to play a pivotal role in tobacco cessation, and we need to use technology for tobacco cessation. I provided the M-cessation number and the toll-free number for cessation, and the toll-free helpline numbers I have provided in the chat box, so everybody can note down. And we need to create awareness in radio, newspapers, social media, whatever way possible. The chair, if allows me, because the presentation was so nice and everything was made clear, so I don't find many questions from the audience, except for the one from the Manipur. Let me see. Yeah, there's Mr. Premjit.
Sir, you are mute, Dr. Rakesh.
So there is a question from Mr. Premjit that Manipur state is third position and 55% of them they use tobacco. 30% are smokers, and but due to lack of tobacco cessation in the states, those tobacco products users are hopeless. Any suggestions? So what will you like to say, Dr. Sonu, about this?
Yeah, I think, Mr. Premjit, I think I must appreciate that you know about the situation there, what is happening in Manipur, and your point is very valid that there is a very high prevalence of tobacco use in almost all the Northeast states. So, you know, if we compare, because I have been working in some of the Northeast states there, and Manipur also, I came there, and what I find is over a period of time, things has been changing. If you see our global adult tobacco survey, the prevalence of tobacco use at that point of time was 67%. And you know that at that point of time, it was number one. The Manipur was number one, and the prevalence of tobacco use was 67%. It has reduced to 55%, and I think there are a lot of efforts which are going into it. But nonetheless, I think you are right that there has been something in the culture which sometimes is difficult to change. At that point of time, I came in 2004-5. At that point of time, when I see around me, almost everybody was smoking. Everybody. Like any shop you go, anywhere you see, everybody was smoking, and there are a lot of stubs which are lying there. But when I when in 2015, 2014-15, then I saw a change, and I really appreciated that. Yeah, is it the same Manipur where I could see everybody smoking? So the things has been changing, although a bit slow. But yes, I think by efforts, and I think you are also working in tobacco control, this thing in that area. So I must appreciate your efforts as well as the efforts of other organizations who are doing wonders. The only thing in tobacco use, which everybody might be knowing, is it's a very addictive habit. It's even more addictive than heroin and ganja and all other things which are there. Tobacco is even more addictive than any other product which is there. So it's really very difficult. From the tobacco user's perspective, if we see, because when you are doing counseling, we need to have an empathetic approach towards tobacco user. So we need to see from their perspective. So I always start from their perspective. What is your need? Whenever I go to some place, and Dr. Rakesh Gupta also I share with him, and he also done the same. I always ask my driver wherever he goes. I went to Ladakh, and then I saw every time he stops, he take a cigarette puff and then comes back. Then I asked him, how many cigarettes are you smoking? So he told me that, sir, I smoke this much number of cigarettes. Then I calculated like how many cigarettes per month now. Then he calculated himself that these much cigarettes per month. Then what is the cost of one cigarette? So he told me this much. Then I calculated that he spent almost 6,000 to 7,000 rupees in smoking per month. Then I asked him that what is your monthly wage? He told me that, sir, I earn around 10 to 12,000. So then I told him that you are spending almost like 6,000 to 7,000 in smoking. Then he realized, actually he know that he's spending on this, but then he realized that just he's taking 5,000 home. So these are the small things. And then over a period of 7 days, when I stayed with him and I drive, on the last day, he threw the cigarette packet in one of the nala there. So he threw that, and I have his phone number right now. And I always, initially after 15 days, but now every 1 month, 2 months, I call him and to see what has happened. So he is saying that now I am no more a smoker and I have quit smoking. So it needs basically a persistence, and I am very much sure that you are doing the same practice. It's just a matter of reiteration from me. I have done, but you must be following the same practice in your this thing. So we need perseverance, persistence, and commitment in tobacco control. We have a very small unit in tobacco control, so we need that sort of approach. And I truly feel that when the next GATS will come, this position of Manipur will be more down.
Thank you, Dr. Sonu. There's a question from Dr. Huma Nawaz. Since in India there is more percentage of smokeless tobacco users, should there be a separate initiative for smokeless tobacco cessation? So Dr. Sonu, I'd like you to tell about that cessation center in the Maids, Delhi.
Yeah.
So they're doing good job.
Yeah, I think I named that during my presentation, and Vikrant is, I think Vikrant is here in our group also. So many people, including Vikrant, the dynamic dentist, and he has developed a good team there. And I think he has developed that cessation center, tobacco cessation center. Many of you might have developed in your own institution. I think there is not much difference, because I have been, I told you, no, my wife is a dentist. So she's also into this type of things now, tobacco control. We share a lot of things. And there has been a lot of evidence now that smokeless tobacco doesn't need a very different approach. Even the smokeless tobacco needs a similar approach as the dentists, and not a similar approach as the smoker. So, and I think Dr. Bali can add upon some of his own experiences, and Dr. Rajendra, Dr. Bali can add upon their own experiences in tobacco control. And many smokeless tobacco users have also used the same approach as we follow in the tobacco use, and they have quit smoking. So I think, Dr. Bali, do you want to add upon some of the things, or Dr. Vikrant after that? Dr. Vikrant, if you are here, so you want to add upon, or anybody wants to add upon? I think,
good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Vikrant.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Great presentation. Dr. Rakesh, thank you so much for coordinating the session. Sir, with regard to smokeless tobacco in specific, I think we still have to do a lot of work, and many research, mainly in terms of long-term studies and interventions, are still lacking. Though most of the studies which are available are more, they're not very culture specific, and we really need to work on these gaps. And research, and mainly in clinical trials in dental settings, need to be done mainly in India. There is no dearth of evidence for sure.
Yeah.
So I feel that is one thing where dentists can actually contribute in a large way. And the rest, what was the other part of the question that you asked?
No, I think basically, does a smokeless tobacco user use a different approach for you apply a different approach for cessation for smokeless tobacco user as for smokers? I think you partially answered that.
Yes. Actually, so what you in the beginning of your slides, as you mentioned, that the way you target the individual based on their needs, whether it is their health needs, whether dental health needs, whether it's financial, keeping all these factors of social, health, family, all these, putting all specific to an individual, we need to target, and we need to frame a very specific to the individual pattern, based on their pattern, based on their occupation. And that kind of approach would actually be more holistic, rather than going in a very general, by telling everybody, or scare tactics or fear tactics, which is normally used, that chewing tobacco will cause cancer, because they would have seen many people around them consuming it, and wouldn't have actually encountered anyone having those pictures.
Yeah.
To these pictures also, which are displayed many times, because they say we have never seen such people with roaming around with such cancers. Actually they can't roam around with such they either would be hospitalized by this stage.
Yeah.
Sir, we are joined by Professor Vijay Mathur from CDR AIIMS.
Yeah.
So, I think Dr. Mathur has a comment here to make. Dr. Mathur, can you hear me?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Dr. Mathur, you are there?
You can unmute Dr. Mathur, I think.
Sir, you are there? So maybe we will go back to him later on. We can carry on with the discussion. You can please go.
Dr. Sonu, there's a question from Mr. SP. Is there any approach for tackling tobacco use along with Areca nut? We focus on tobacco, but Areca nut does have its own damage. I think Honorable Chair can also answer this question. So why not be tackling Areca nut?
Yeah, I think it's a very wonderful question, and I usually hear these type of things because we are working on smokers most of the times, and many research, if you have seen, have come from Western countries on smoking. But I think we have a separate type of problem on Areca nut, on smokeless tobacco use, and now the research evidence has come now. There are some evidence which are emerging on the use of Areca nut. So I think, but it's, as Vikrant has said, that we need some more rigorous research on Areca nut and smokeless tobacco use to substantiate our claim that Areca nut is equally dangerous as compared when we compare it with the smokeless tobacco. But there are few research which I have seen where Areca nut played a very important role in causing all those cancers which are caused by other tobacco products. So anybody would like to add, Arpit, anybody in the forum can add upon. I think Areca nut.
Dr. Bali, the Honorable Chair may like to add something.
Well, I just want to add something which I think you all will be surprised what I'm saying. And that is, we are all saying research. And what we do is, mostly I've seen, we read all the articles here and there and come up with the one article, we say, well, this is my research. But I would advise all of you, or suggest all of you, that we have done enough research. What you should do now is search, and that is important. Search, and not research and research and research. This is my, always I think that we should come somewhat with the innovative thing, which is search, and not again research. So I don't know whether people agree with me or disagree. I don't know, but this is my feeling. Throughout my life, I have seen that going on research, and I read all the articles again and again, just in one form or the other, but not search. And that is what is lacking in our country, which I think we must all work to have search and not research only. Research is also very important, but search is still more important. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Dr. Sonu, there's a question from Karandeep Singh Sandhu. He says, do dentists need any special permission from authorities to open tobacco cessation center as de-addiction centers need? And there's another question from Ranjita Mehta. Where can we do a certificate course on tobacco cessation? So you can answer both the questions together.
I think I'm not the authority in this particular topic because there are, I think in this forum, I think it's an August forum in which many people are there and they might be knowing about some of the certificate courses which are existing, but I know a few which is being, I think I participated one in MAIDS. So I participated one in MAIDS, but I don't know. I think Dr. Mathur also might be conducting the courses on that. But I think there might be some other person who might take the lead and tell about this type of this question.
Yeah, Dr. Vijay Mathur may like to tell about this. Dr. Vijay Mathur.
Sir, I think there is some problem with his.
Yeah.
Because He has sent a message that he wanted to speak, but I think there's some technical issue. No?
So,
There is something called as IDA-TII. I think Dr. Mathur is there. Okay, something known as IDA-TII, and they have named it to IDA-TCC. So that is available for all the dentists, and even they give a kind of a certificate which can be used in some kind of private practice or your clinic, and which says that after attending that course you are a certified tobacco cessation specialist. So that is one way of doing it. Another is we have many certificate courses from universities abroad, like the Global School of Public Health, the Johns Hopkins University. So that is offering few courses, although it's quite tough to get into those courses. Dr. Sonu will tell better about these.
So I think many of the participants are writing some of the things, and I think very rightly said, because not only here, Public Health Foundation also of India also are doing one tobacco control course, and I think Dr. Aruna has told about this IDA Tobacco Free Initiative, and even NIMHANS, I think Tobacco Station, they are also conducting, Dr. Pratima Murthy is also conducting a course. And yes, there is a course by this ICMR Institute in Delhi, that is NICIPR. So they are also conducting the courses. So few more courses, few courses are there. But I think what is the need of the hour here is attending courses are good, and I think getting a certificate is even excellent. But I think it should come in your practice. Like if you start doing, I have seen many dentists who are not even certified for tobacco control and tobacco cessation, but they are practicing it. And now they have started doing the sole practice on tobacco cessation. They have quit their dental practice, and now they are solely involved in tobacco cessation. It again needs that perseverance and persistence. And I think even without having that course, you can do that. But nonetheless, I am not undermining the importance of that course or the program, which I think is being, I think there are few courses which has been enlisted by Dr. Aruna, Dr. Sahana Hegde, and yeah. So, any more questions which are emerging right now?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, Dr. Sonu, there's a question. Why doesn't government ban tobacco just as has been done for e-cigarettes?
Yeah, I think this is a very, very common question, and I think every forum has this question. Why not? Why the onus is on public, not on government? So I think, there is no short answer to it, first of all. But we need to understand that as a government, like tobacco control is primarily a responsibility which has been shouldered on health department. And I think everybody of you might be aware that health department, what is the what proportion of say is there in the overall government of the health department. So there are many more powerful ministries besides health department, like Department of Excise and Taxation, Agriculture, and many more. So there is a pressure on having an income from those tobacco as a commodity, and health department is always is not playing cannot play. It's very difficult for just the health department to persuade that it is the health effect which is even more important. But without saying this, without undermining this, we should say that over a period of time in last decade, there has been a lot of achievements in tobacco control. We have banned e-cigarette, which not many countries have done so. Many countries have regulated it, but banning of e-cigarette was done by India. That's a major achievement. Banning of hookahs in many states, banning of smokeless tobacco products in many states, banning of many things. Like you see, many of you, I think of my age and even elder than me, might appreciate that when we were kids, every bus has smoking inside it. Like every bus, every conductor in the bus, whether you say any roadways, I'm not naming any Haryana roadways or any other roadways, but any roadways has a smoker inside it, and you can't stop that. And now you see, you don't find any smoker on the public place, very few in the buses. And I think, so there has been a lot of things which are there. And again, I think very rightly said by Dr. Aruna, that pictorial health warning. So now we are, I think, the 5th country which has the largest pictorial warning, 85% on both sides of the act. Strong Juvenile Justice Act, very rightly said, that a person can be punished for like selling cigarette to a minor, and that person can be imprisoned. And I think Punjab has done that. A person was imprisoned for 7 years. So I think these are some of the things which are the achievements of tobacco control. And I think you are moving in the right direction. We are moving towards tobacco-free generation. So we are thinking of a tobacco-free generation that after a certain age of that individual, nobody can take cigarettes or smoke. So I think we are moving in the right direction, and we need support from the activists and the advocates, the professionals, the academicians, the researchers among you to take this movement forward.
Yeah, Dr. Sonu. Dr. Arpit, do we have more time? Because there are some queries. Or we can have final comments from the chair.
So maybe we can take 1 or 2 more questions. I think many people are waiting for their questions.
Okay, Dr. Sonu, can you just enlist some of the, legal provisions against tobacco and nicotine, very briefly, so that people know that they should be aware about any violations?
I think there are many of them, but I think everybody should know about Cigarette and Other Tobacco Product Act, which has been enacted in 2003. So in that no person is allowed to smoke in the public place. If any person is smoking in a public place, that is markets or in the cinema halls, in hotels, in restaurants, anywhere, in schools, in medical institutes, in buses. So if they are so they can be punished up to 200 rupees of fine. So that is one thing. Then the person is not allowed to, under the same act, the person is not allowed to sell the tobacco products to under 18 years of age. So that is another thing. Then there are some provisions regarding that cigarette packs. So packs, they should contain a warning. 85% of the packs should be covered with warnings. And there are many other provisions, I think, other than the COTPA Act, which is there, which I think it will take some time to brief about all the provisions beside COTPA. And Juvenile Justice Act is a very stringent act, which has been enacted way back in 2018 by Srimati Menka Gandhi, and that person who is selling the tobacco to minors can be imprisoned under that act for 3 years and then 7 years also. So I think, and fined up to this thing. And there are many other provisions which I think it's very difficult to say in this forum, but this is the provision which you should be aware about.
And I like to add that there is some provision in the India Penal Code, section 268, 269, 270, under which the people who are, creating obnoxious atmosphere, they can be held responsible. So, and there are provisions under Food and Drug Administration, the Food Safety Act, FSSAI, and the Drug and Cosmetic Act. So there are provisions, the present provisions can be utilized to, check the menace of these products. So thank you, Dr. Sonu. And I think for the final comments of Honorable Chair.
So I think one important thing which is there, which is coming here by Dr. Shivam, is another opportunity, which I think we should very much avail, that we have a tobacco cessation centers in our dental colleges, and I think they should take a lead in collaborating with National Tobacco Control Program in their own jurisdiction, because that is lacking. Our district tobacco control cells and state tobacco control cells should have a member of a tobacco cessation center in their respective jurisdiction. And I think this is a very good example which one should set in their own states. Now over to Dr. Bali for final comments.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sonu. Rakesh, and all the presidents of the three wings of our profession. Now you have really made us so aware that I think for the next few months we have hardly any questions to ask. They are so clarified. Everything was so clarified. And I must tell you one thing. When I was president of the Dental Council of India as well as president of IDA together, we went to the health ministry several times asking for to ban tobacco, but the ditto answer of everybody was that it's a big industry, we can close it, it is affecting all the labor, it will affect all the our field workers and so on. Then we insisted upon at least you have a picturized warning on each and every carton of the cigarettes and all these products. And fortunately, they agreed and they said, okay, device. So our association and the council together devised those pictures and gave it to them. And they had selected one or two, whatever they were, and they had put it on these packets. And I think that was the time when I've seen that they're going to be in this so many times. And then there's very valid question, why not the government should ban everything? But this was their answer. And I think this answer is today also also valid. And everybody should be cautious not to use tobacco. That is important. Nothing the ministry can do more. If they can do, yes, they should do it. But and we wish them all the best. And I am very, very thankful to Sonu, then Rakesh, and all the associations, and our ICD, IAPHD, and Indian Dental Association, the Chandigarh branch, and all the professionals as a whole. Thank you so much. It was a very, very super session we had. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir. And now I call upon Dr. Varun Bajaj, who is the Vice President of IDA Chandigarh State Branch, to propose a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks. First and the foremost, on behalf of Indian Dental Association, Chandigarh State Branch, and International College of Dentists, Section 6, I would like to thank our worthy speaker for the webinar, Professor Sonu Goyal, for enlightening us with his vast wisdom of knowledge. In your presentation, sir, you have wonderfully boosted the confidence of dental surgeons by telling their strengths and opportunities in tobacco control program in India. Thank you, sir, for your kindness and courtesy. We also express our heartfelt gratitude to the chairman of this webinar, Padma Shri Dr. R.K. Bali, sir. Sir is exemplary, supportive, and generous in conducting this webinar. We are honored and thank you, sir. We also convey our special gratitude to Dr. Rakesh Gupta, President and Director of Strategic Institute of Public Health and Education Research, and ex-Director Health Services, Punjab, for accepting our invitation as moderator of this webinar. Your inputs are really valuable, sir. Thank you, sir. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dentists, Section 6, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, also member of Dental Council of India and chairman for centenary celebrations of dental education in India by Indian Dental Association. And I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Vamsi Krishna Reddy, Professor and Head, Sardar Patel Postgraduate Institute of Dental and Medical Science, Lucknow, and Honorary General Secretary, Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry. Also, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Vijay Prakash Mathur from Center for Dental Education and Research, AIIMS, New Delhi. We owe a special gratitude to all the participants for attending this webinar in such a good numbers and thus motivating us to further continue this journey. We look forward for your support and suggestions for our webinars in future. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the member of IDA and ICD for their contribution in making this webinar a success. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Varun. And with this, we have come to an end of today's session. We had an overwhelming session. We had almost 500 registrations and almost 300 people joining us, although we are now left with like 140 of them. And I would be failing in my duties if I do not share with you the details of our next session. The next session is on practical aspects for managing dental trauma during COVID-19. And we will be joined by Professor Krishan Gaba, who is the head of Oral Health Sciences Center at PGI Chandigarh, and Professor Vijay Prakash Mathur, who is the head of pediatric dentistry at CDR AIIMS, New Delhi. So for those who are interested in managing dental trauma, you are most welcome to this webinar as well. So with this, we have come to an end of this session. I thank to one and all. I am Dr. Arpit Gupta, the General Secretary of IDA Chandigarh State Branch and also a member of Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry and a fellow of ICD. Signing off. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.